Hey guys, Jason here with the chart guys, taking a look at a couple of bull flags today. I'm going to do things just a little bit differently again. I like to experiment with some different strategies and video styles. I'm going to add in a few of the clips from today's midday live stream. At Chart Guys, part of our main service is providing real-time technical analysis. So if you are interested in a trade, you have a chart you're looking at, you can ask us about it, and we will do a ad hoc live analysis and talk about our expectations and the most likely outcomes of what we see. So today I've got two examples for you. Both of them are related. We're going to start with QQQ. We're going to talk about this nice little bull flag that we saw up here. And we're going to talk about a bear flag on SQ that we saw develop right after the break of our QQQ flag. So first video, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about how we recognize the building of this flag here on QQQ. QQQ 5-minute time frame bulls looking really nice here. So let's go see if we can't figure out where that channel is. So we talked a little bit about dominant time frame in yesterday's TA Q&A. Or perhaps even in the stream, I don't recall. But we have our flagpole. So our second phase is this, the banner phase. So phase 1 is the breakout. Phase 2 is the consolidation. Phase 3 is the continuation. So if this is a flag, then we need to be able to find a nicely defined channel somewhere. Because we can see green, red, red, green, we know that the trend is not on the 5-minute time frame. It's probably not on the 2-minute time frame either. However, we can start to see a little bit of a wave forming. Our candles are still too close together. We'll go to the 1-minute time frame, and there we start to see some clearly defined highs and some defined lows. It's still not quite right, so I'm going to go even further. Look at the 15-second time frame. This starts to look a little bit better. We can see the highs and lows and the movement of the market inside this range. So that tells me that we are probably looking at the dominant time frame here. So what we're going to look for are instances where we get higher highs with follow through. And we don't see too much of that. All this is inside the range. So I'll grab my anchor or origin, anchor it here. And then I want to see if the support levels are playing nice with this parallel channel. And overall, you know, here's where I'm anchoring to. I can see a touch here. I can see a touch here. Former resistance. I'm pretty happy with this. So this is a 30-second channel on a 5-minute flag that we want to see break bullish. What are we going to look for? Let's go back to our 1-minute time frame. What we're going to look for is a key break over top of this area of resistance 330.36. Why? Because it was the high of this candlestick, very close to this one, and it represents a nice cloud of resistance here for us. So that is what the bulls want to do. 15-second time frame. They love to see this as a inverse head and shoulders. And we would look for something like this to break. We want to see more volume overall, and then we want to break 330.36 to get that 5-minute upside continuation. Until we do that, we're just staying inside this range. So that's QQQ in a nutshell. So that flag worked out really, really well. We got our nice tight formation, we got our expansion, and we hit a high of 331.36. So the reason that we are focusing on this flag is, one, it was a nice example of doing a quick construction of a flag about what to look for. But more importantly, it really plays into the next flag that we're going to talk about, the one that formed on SQQ here, and we can see it marked up on the 5-minute time frame. We had a beautiful little bear flag. Now right here, right at 9:30, you can see we are on the verge of breaking through our support. Now this is important because right here at 9:30, we hit QQQ's high and got ourselves a nice little shooting star candlestick and applied some downside pressure. So let's review the live stream and understand why that was not necessarily a good thing for SQ bulls. SQ is the ticker that we want to look at. SQ also had a very similar downside pressure, if I recall. Doesn't look like we got any follow through on that yet. Earnings are today, so that's going to be a problem. For swing positions anyway. Did we have an inside bar? Very close to an inside bar. So our high was 240.20, 240.19. We're going to call that a double top. Not really an inside bar, but truth be told, I probably play it the same way. We'll be looking for a break of this beautiful little level. 229.80. So right now, bears have full control. We've blown through our target. We've blown through daily supports, and the only real support we have is in the range of 202.10. It's a lot of downside. Their earnings are going to screw all of that up. So let's focus on the 15-minute time frame and try and figure out what we're doing. At this point, this looks pretty bear flaggy to me. It's going to be an hourly bear flag, big drop, consolidation. So what we need to do again is basically the opposite of what we did on QQQ. go, well, not the opposite. We're doing the same thing except on a different time frame. So we're going to say if you are a flag and you're going to continue the downside, we need to establish where that is. So it may already be happening. We're going to go click and drag, and you know what? That works out pretty good. So I'm choosing my supports because I'm interested in a downside break. I want to establish a level of resistance and support. Click and drag up to the topmost point of my green candlestick close. Coincides well enough with these lows. So we're going to look for price action validation. 223.08 for 5-minute lower lows. And what we'll look for on this flag, because the market is strong right at this current moment, it is going to have, you're going to be basically swimming upstream with a QQQ short. So the most likely outcome is going to be a drop, a back test, and then a break at 223.08 to the downside. Now remember, earnings are today, so don't swing this unless you're ready to assume that additional risk. Trying to get that back test. Has already closed back in pattern. It did look really weak on that break. So perhaps we have to update our chart. We'll have to see. SQ grinding, still back inside that pattern. So it's holding that EMA 12 again. Still not very bullish though. So these types of setups, if SPY sees a big turn at its high of day, or even QQQ decides to cool off a bit, Square is not well positioned to absorb any sort of downside pressure. So it's nice to get back inside pattern. In fact, all we'd really need to do is go conveniently move our support down, right? To modify our pattern because we were incorrect about where the real definitive low was. This low still coincides well over here. We're still in a bear flat. So we can't absorb the downside pressure. If QQQ and SPY roll over, Square is not well poised to absorb that. So this is a really nice example of having QQQ right at its high and having SQ right in a position where it was ready to break bearish, and right at 9:30, right here as QQQ hits its high, we break just underneath the pattern, but we don't see a ton of follow through yet. And we even break 224.57, which is going to be a confirmation of a 5-minute downtrend, but we don't see a ton of follow through yet. So the fact that we're underneath our pattern, we come back up, back test, hit 225.91 and start to pull away from it. 225.91 becomes a stop loss on a short entry. But things get really interesting, not when we break 224.57 and validate the price action on SQQ. Well, let's take a look at what happens right when we really start to drop. We go to QQQ, we have this downtrend, and we fail to set 5-minute higher lows over 329.88. Right here at 10:10 we break, and that's when things get interesting for SQ. At 10:10 we break down and we see that follow through. So we had an index at a high, we had SQ at a bear flag, a confirmed bear flag, and everybody is looking over to see what is going to happen with QQQ. Is it going to continue in a 5-minute uptrend and prop up the universe, or is it going to buckle and dump like it did and drag SQ down with it? So that was a beautiful trade. You had your stop at 225.91. You could have walked it down at every little 2-minute high or low all the way down, and you wouldn't have got stopped out until you're down here. So that would have been a beautiful trade and a really good example of coordinating your indices with your tickers and your patterns. I hope it was useful. If you like this sort of thing, I'll try to do more live stream integration. It is a lot of fun and really beneficial to go through those tickers in real time with the community. You find a lot of gems too.